I built my clinic with my own hands. Every brick, every piece of furniture, every sleepless night, it was all me. No one stood by me, not even my own family. They called me crazy, they laughed behind my back, and they warned me I would fail. But when the doors finally opened, and success came pouring in, that's when the people who once doubted me suddenly showed up, claiming they deserved a piece of what I fought for. When I look back now, it feels like a lifetime ago. I was just a young doctor with nothing in my pocket, but dreams that weighed heavier than the world. Medical school had drained me, not just financially, but emotionally. I worked 2 jobs to pay for my tuition, a late-night diner shift and weekends. As a clinic assistant, I barely slept, but I told myself, one day this will all be worth it. While my classmates had families who supported them financially, I had nothing but silence from mine. My father said, "Why waste your life on this? You'll never succeed." My mother avoided the topic altogether, as if pretending my dreams didn't exist would somehow kill them. Siblings? They were busy chasing their own comforts, never once asking if I needed help. So I built everything on my own. I rented a rundown building at the edge of town. The ceiling leaked when it rained. The walls smelled of dampness, and the floor was cracked in more places than I could count. But I saw potential where others only saw ruin. I spent every dollar I had saved to clean it, paint it, and furnish it. I worked nights sewing torn seat covers for the waiting room chairs, because buying new ones was out of reach. I bought secondhand medical equipment from auctions, fixing what was broken with my own hands. Every patient who walked in during those early days didn't just see a doctor, they saw someone who cared, someone who was willing to stay late, to listen, to treat even when they couldn't pay. Word spread slowly, but it spread. And yet, through it all, my family never called. Not once. Not when I had to choose between eating dinner and buying medical supplies. Not when I fell asleep on the clinic floor after a 16-hour day. Not when I collapsed with exhaustion and no one was there to pick me up. I told myself I didn't need them, that maybe being invisible to them was a blessing because it forced me to rely on myself. But deep inside, a small part of me still hoped. Hoped that one day they would see what I had built, and maybe, just maybe, they would be proud. What I didn't know then was that the day they finally noticed me, it wouldn't be out of pride. It would be out of greed. I had no idea that the very people who ignored my struggle would one day try to take everything I had built without paying a single dime. The first year of my clinic was brutal, but it was also the most rewarding time of my life. Slowly, the empty chairs in my waiting room began to fill. At first, it was just a few patients, an elderly man with diabetes, a young mother worried about her child's cough, a construction worker with an untreated back injury. They came hesitantly, unsure if they could trust me. But when they left, they told others. Word of mouth became my lifeline. Soon, the clinic was no longer just a rundown building. It became a safe place for the community. People started calling me the doctor who listens. That meant more to me than any paycheck. Financially, things began to shift too. For the first time in years, I wasn't counting every penny before buying groceries. I could afford new gloves, proper diagnostic tools, and even a small fridge for medications. I'll never forget the day I installed an air conditioner in the waiting room. Patients smiled, children laughed, it felt like a dream. I worked tirelessly, but the difference now was that I was working for something that was mine. Every late night in that clinic felt like an investment in a future I had created with my own blood and sweat. I wasn't rich, not by a long shot, but I was finally standing on my own 2 feet. What surprised me most was the way the community began to embrace me. Churches called me to give free health talks. Schools invited me to check their students. Local businesses sent their employees to me. The clinic's reputation spread far beyond what I imagined. And yet, even with this growth, my phone from home stayed silent. Not a single congratulations, not even a polite, "We're proud of you." I would sit sometimes at my small desk, staring at the glowing clinic sign outside, and wonder, why did their silence still hurt so much? 2 years passed. I had expanded the clinic into 2 more rooms. I hired a nurse, then a receptionist. My name started appearing in the local paper. Patients were driving from neighboring towns just to see me. I had become, in every sense, a success story. It was around this time that the phone calls finally started coming. At first, I didn't think much of it. A cousin calling to check in, an uncle asking how I was doing, even my parents reaching out after years of silence. They spoke with sweet voices I didn't recognize, We always knew you would make it, my father said once, his tone dripping with pride that had never been there before. My siblings suddenly wanted to visit, bringing along their children, saying things like, "The kids should see what you've built." For a moment, I let myself believe it. That maybe, finally, my hard work had melted the ice that stood between me and my family, that maybe they had come around, not out of greed, but out of love. But deep down, something didn't feel right. Their timing was too perfect. Where were they when I slept on the clinic floor? Where were they when the roof leaked and I held buckets to catch the rain between patients? Where were they when I nearly fainted from hunger but kept working? Because someone needed me? Still, I pushed those doubts aside. I told myself, maybe people change. Maybe they see me differently now. But I was wrong. I was so wrong. At first, it was little things. My younger sister asked if I could just help out with her rent for a couple of months. My brother wanted me to co-sign a loan for a new car. They spoke as if my success was their safety net, as though the clinic I had built belonged to all of us. I remember one dinner vividly. My parents had invited me over, something that hadn't happened in years. The table was set with my mother's best dishes, the smell of roasted chicken filling the room. For the first half hour, we laughed and talked like a real family. I almost let myself relax. But then my father leaned forward and cleared his throat. "You've done well," he said, his eyes glinting in a way that made my stomach tighten. "But families should share in each other's blessings. Don't you think it's time we became partners in the clinic?" The room fell silent. My fork hovered in the air. Partners? They had never visited me once when I was cleaning toilets in that rundown building. Now they wanted in? My brother quickly chimed in. "Yeah, we could help manage things. Bring in new patients, expand the business. Think about it, this could be a family legacy." My mother smiled as if it were already decided. "You shouldn't carry the burden alone. We'll take some of the responsibilities off your shoulders." But I knew what they meant. They weren't offering help. They were demanding a slice of something they never earned. I forced a polite smile. "The clinic is doing fine. I've already hired people I trust. But thank you for the offer." Their faces dropped almost instantly, as if I had slammed a door in their faces. My father's voice hardened. "Don't be foolish. Without family, you are nothing. You'll regret keeping us out." The ride home that night was long and heavy. Their words clung to me, poisoning the small joy I had built. I wanted to believe they cared for me, but the greed in their eyes had spoken louder than their words. Soon after, the pressure escalated. They began showing up at the clinic unannounced. My cousin brought her sick child and demanded free treatment. My uncle walked in with a list of medications, expecting me to supply them without charge. They treated my staff like servants, barking orders and insisting they didn't need appointments. One day, my brother stormed into my office while patients waited outside. "This is ridiculous," he said. "You're acting like this place is yours alone. We're family. We deserve a share." Something inside me snapped. I leaned forward and said quietly, "Where were you when I slept on this floor? Where were you when I skipped meals so I could afford supplies? Where were you when I was laughed at for even trying to start this clinic?" He had no answer. He just glared and stormed out, slamming the door so hard the walls shook. That night, as I locked up the clinic, I realized something painful but undeniable. The people who should have been my biggest supporters had become my biggest threat. They didn't want me. They wanted what I had. And the more I resisted, the more ruthless they became. It started with whispers in the neighborhood. Patients I had known for years began asking, "Is it true your family owns part of this clinic now?" At first I brushed it off, but soon I realized where it was coming from, my own relatives. They had begun spreading lies, claiming the clinic was a family business, built with their support. The betrayal stung, but what hurt more was how they tried to erase my struggle from the story. To them, my years of sacrifice meant nothing. It was easier to rewrite history than to admit they had abandoned me when I needed them most. One evening, as I was closing the clinic, I found my father waiting by the door. His arms were crossed, his face cold. "You're making this harder than it needs to be," he said. "We're your blood. You can't shut us out." I took a deep breath. This clinic was built by my blood too. My sweat, my tears, my sleepless nights. "Where were you when I needed family?" He looked at me like I had insulted him. "You're being selfish. Do you think success came only from you? You carry our family name. Everything you earn belongs to all of us." I wanted to scream. to tell him how many nights I had cried alone, wishing even once he would come to see me, encourage me, or just believe in me. But instead I stood tall. No, I built this, and I will not let anyone take it away from me. His jaw tightened. Then don't expect us to stand by you when things fall apart. And with that, he walked away into the night. The threats grew louder. My brother sent me messages about family, loyalty. My sister accused me of being heartless, of forgetting where I came from. They twisted everything, turning me from the hardworking doctor who built a clinic for the community into some kind of villain who betrayed her own blood. Then came the day that shook me to my core. A patient stormed out of the waiting room, angry because my uncle had promised him a discount from the family. When I refused, the man shouted, "Your own relatives say you're greedy." Maybe they're right. I stood frozen as the words echoed in the hall. My staff exchanged uneasy glances. The lies were working. My reputation, the very thing I had sacrificed for, was under attack. That night, I sat in the empty clinic, staring at the walls I had painted with my own hands. My body ached with exhaustion, but my heart hurt worse. Was this the price of success? That those closest to me would rather tear me down than celebrate me? I thought about giving in. Maybe if I just gave them a small share, they'd stop. Maybe peace was worth more than pride. But then I remembered the nights of hunger, the days of ridicule, the endless struggle to make this place real. No one had stood beside me then. Why should they reap the harvest of a seed they never planted? I clenched my fists and whispered to myself, "No more. They can call me selfish. They can call me greedy, but they will never call me weak." The pressure didn't stop. It only grew darker. At first, my family's tactics were subtle. Whispers, rumors, unexpected visits. But soon they crossed into something far more dangerous. One morning, I arrived at the clinic to find angry patients waiting outside. They waved flyers with my clinic's name on them, flyers I had never made. My brother had been distributing them around town, promising family discounts and even free treatments. Patients thought I had lied to them when I refused to honor it. Inside, my receptionist was in tears. She told me my sister had barged in earlier, demanding the front desk handover, patient files so she could help manage appointments. When refused, she shouted in front of everyone that the staff was disrespecting her family business. It was chaos. And it was only the beginning. That evening, I confronted my brother. "You can't do this. You're ruining everything I've worked for." He smirked. "You're overreacting. We're just helping you grow. Patients love hearing they're part of a family-run clinic." I stared at him in disbelief. Family-run? You weren't there when this was nothing but a broken building. You weren't there when I starved to buy medical supplies. Don't you dare rewrite my story. His smile faded. His eyes turned cold. "If you won't share willingly, maybe we'll make you." Those words haunted me for days. I didn't know what they meant until it happened. 2 weeks later, I got a letter in the mail. My family had filed a legal claim against me. They told the court that they had invested money in my clinic, that it was built with family funds, and that I was unfairly cutting them out. I felt the blood drain from my face as I read their lies in black and white. They hadn't just attacked my reputation, they were trying to steal my clinic through the law. I couldn't breathe. All the sleepless nights, all the sacrifices, all the pain I endured alone, it was now being twisted into a weapon against me. That night, I sat in the empty waiting room, the same one I had once scrubbed and painted with my own hands. I pressed my palms against the worn armrests of the chairs I had sewn, together from scraps. My tears fell onto the floor I had scrubbed until it gleamed. "This is mine," I whispered through clenched teeth. "They can lie, they can scheme, but I will not let them take this from me." I knew what had to be done. If my family wanted war, then I would fight, not out of hate, but out of love for what I had built. I owed it to myself. I owed it to every patient who had trusted me. But in the pit of my stomach, a question burned. If my own blood could betray me this deeply, what wouldn't they do next? The courtroom smelled of polished wood and cold silence. I sat at the plaintiff's table, my heart pounding as my own family sat across from me. My father's face was stern, my brother's smug, my sister pretending to look hurt, as if I had betrayed them. Their lawyer painted a picture so twisted it made me sick. "This clinic," he said, "was a family effort. Everyone contributed. The defendant is simply trying to erase her relatives, to keep the profits for herself." I wanted to scream, But when my turn came, I rose slowly, holding my head high. I built this clinic with my own hands, I told the judge. When I scrubbed mold off the walls, no one was there. When I starved so I could buy medicine, no one was there. When I slept on the floor after 16-hour shifts, no one was there. My family didn't believe in me. They didn't even visit. And now that the hard part is over, they want to rewrite history. I handed the judge receipts, photographs, journals, everything I had kept from those early days. Pictures of the broken building, my handwritten budgets, even an old note I had written to myself on a night I thought I would fail, keep going. One day, this place will heal people. The courtroom was silent. My father wouldn't meet my eyes. My brother shifted uncomfortably. Finally, the judge spoke. This clinic belongs solely to the defendant. The claims of family investment are unsupported and dismissed. Relief washed over me. My hands trembled, tears burning my eyes, but not from sadness. From victory. As we walked out of the courtroom, my father muttered, "You'll regret this. Blood is blood." I turned to him for the last time. My voice was steady, my heart finally free. Blood didn't build this clinic. Sweat did. Tears did. I did. And from now on, my patients, my real family, are the only ones who matter here. They walked away, their faces hard, their pride shattered. And for the first time, I didn't chase after them. I didn't beg for approval. I didn't need it anymore. That night, I stood in the clinic, the halls quiet, the air calm. I ran my fingers over the walls I had once painted, and I smiled. This place wasn't just a building. It was proof that resilience can rise even from loneliness. My family had tried to break me, to steal from me, to erase me. But in the end, they only revealed the truth. Sometimes, the people who share your blood are the very ones who don't deserve your success. I locked the door, stepped outside, and breathed in the cool night air. For the first time in years, the weight was gone. This was my victory. My story, my clinic. And no one, not even my own family, would ever take it from me. They thought they could steal my dream. But in the end, all they lost was me.